Hello, people of the internet. I'm back, and I want to do another reaction, as always. They're my favorite thing to do. But yeah, and today, without any fanfare, we're gonna be reacting to some fat acceptance TikToks. I really enjoy watching the insanity that goes on in that tag, and I have a lot to say about health and fitness. And if you really want to know why, I am an ultra marathon runner. I've lost over 40 pounds, and I was one of those weird kids who enjoyed the presidential fitness class or test or whatever it was in elementary school. So if that tells you anything about what kind of person I am, I'll have a lot to say on this topic. So, slightly long-winded introduction aside, let's just get right into some TikTok reactions. Alright, so I got it pulled up. I went into the just fat acceptance tag, and it was just pretty mild stuff. There wasn't anything too crazy other than they were very large women who really need to lose weight because that much fat is not good. But they weren't saying anything outrageous. They weren't saying anything crazy. So I changed my search term a little bit, and I looked up fat activism instead, which might get us a little more interesting reactions. So, yeah. So, in the intro, I think I said we're looking at fat acceptance. This is still fat acceptance, but it's fat activism. And, as always, I'm blind reacting to them. So, if there's a TikTok that doesn't fit the video, or TikTok glitches and playing the wrong videos, or anything like that, I will be cutting it out. So, if there's cuts, that's why. And I will be looking at the monitor, which is right here. So you'll see the beautiful side of my head. And, alright, let's pick one. Alright, let's pick this one.
Would only drink water.
When you were eating grapes and lettuce, were you thin?
I was the thinnest I could be.
Were you still big, though?
I was still big, but that was the skinniest I've ever been. And that's coming from somebody who was only eating somewhat salads that are just fruit and lettuce and water and maybe ice right before a practice.
I'm sorry, but this is just not...
Alright, so, you may have noticed there was a cut. The first one was more making fun of Jordan Underwood than actually talking about what they say. And we're not here to make fun of people. As fun as it is to make fun of people, we're not doing that. And that man has a major jawline, chiseled jaw, and two, if you were to just eat grapes and salad and water, you would lose weight. That is, one, that's not a sustainable diet because you need protein, you need fat, you need more than just lettuce and grapes. But if you were to eat that, it is high in fiber and high in volume, so you could gorge yourself on grapes and lettuce, and you would lose weight because of how low calorie they are. So if she was really eating like that, she would have been lost weight down to skinny. And now that's not a sustainable diet. If you want to lose weight, you have to do it in a way that you can maintain for the rest of your life. You know, a way you don't feel deprived or starving. And two, I think she might be suffering from the secret eating. Check out the show Secret Eaters. It covers this big time. It's basically where they follow the contestants around with private investigators and hidden cameras to figure out why they won't lose weight. And it turns out that they eat a ton of ultra-processed snack foods, snack cakes. They'll go get a sugary coffee, and they'll go to a fast food restaurant, and they don't make a note of it. They don't make note of it, and doing that a few times a day can put you in a several hundred calorie surplus easily, which can cause you to gain weight. So I'm thinking this woman only took note of her salads and didn't note the dressing she was using, because dressing can be super high in calories. Maybe she was snacking or had one of those Starbucks coffees in the morning, and just, it's hard to be honest with yourself, with your diet, looking at the mirror and going, this is a problem, I am eating terribly. It is easier to just go, I'm eating a salad, I'm healthy, when in reality that salad is only one piece of the puzzle and only 300 calories of your 3,000 calorie day. So I do not believe she was just eating lettuce and grapes. The laws of thermodynamics apply to everyone and everything in this universe. So you can't gain weight without taking in excess energy through food. Sorry, you can't. And humans can't absorb energy from sunlight, so it's not like you stand in the sun, you'll become obese either. So you have to get the energy from somewhere, and usually that's food. Jordan, here's an actual Jordan Underwood one, not just a reaction.
So folks are often asking for recommendations on my page of different fat activists that I recommend engaging with. So in honor of Black History Month, I put together this list of 12 Black fat activists to follow, learn from, and engage with the works of.
So, one, personally, if you are looking to, like this, I'm going to call is creating an echo chamber. If you fill your circle, your social media feed, the information you want, like the information you receive, you like train your algorithm, you train it to be only what you want to hear, that'll create something called an echo chamber, where you can say something and everyone goes, yes, we agree, and they like bounce it back and forth. And usually these echo chambers start getting more and more radicalized, especially in these social justice groups, I've noticed. It starts off with people just agreeing with each other, and then it quickly becomes crazy and insanity and denying facts and logic. So if you are a fat activist or somebody who is in that space, I would challenge you to, yes, follow fat activists you like and agree with. I follow fitness people I like and agree with. Do that, but also challenge yourself. Like, I am very physically fit. I've lost weight. I subscribe to that side of the spectrum, but like this video, I watch fat activism creators and react to them. One, it challenges my perception because sometimes they say stuff that like I have no choice but to agree with because the logic is sound, but a lot of times they don't have sound logic. So yeah, that's what I've noticed. They like to create an echo chamber, and they first thing they tell you if you want to become body positive is to start following other fat activists. Why would who you follow on a social media website matter to like your political beliefs? I mean, I understand people use social media for activism all the time, but for me, TikTok is just a silly place where I can be entertained. Like, I don't take TikTok that seriously. And I always have to fact check what I see on TikTok. Like, is that real? Because there's a lot of fake AI stuff on TikTok. And then number 2 is, what is up with these body positive creators being obsessed with race and racism? Like, you hear them all the time. They'll be like, fat phobia is racism. And it's like them conflating fat phobia and racism, which I don't believe fat phobia exists. Unless it's like you're afraid of being fat because you don't want the health consequences. Then yeah, I guess. But like, it's the fat phobia they believe in where fat people are discriminated against. I don't think that exists as much. You kind of put yourself there, you can get out of it. But they conflate it with racism, and it's always these people who probably have never once experienced racism once in their life who are saying that. They're always like, I'm not to be that guy, but they're always like fair-skinned, white, fat people who've probably lived an upper middle class life for their entire lifestyle. They don't, like, they probably, the only persecution they probably encounter in a day-to-day life is probably just going to a store not fitting into the clothes or struggling to fit in a restaurant booth. That's the discrimination these people face, which you put yourself there, you ate yourself into that position. You weren't born into that position. Like somebody who was born like on like the autism spectrum, or someone who is born with a disability, or someone who is born into a poor family. Like, there are so many ways you can be born into something and be really, either you A, can't change it, or B, you have to really work and adapt to get out of that, to like cope with that situation. Being fat, you do have to work really hard to get out of that situation. Weight loss is extremely difficult. It's simple but difficult. And it's just, I don't know. It feels like they're very privileged people to be complaining about such small problems, you know? And I deal with such small problems, like the past few, like the week and a half after my first ultramarathon, I had like open wounds on my feet from like the blisters. And I'm like, my feet hurt and I have to use foot pedals to operate a machine at my job. I'm like, this kind of hurts to use the foot pedals. But I'm like, you know what? I'm really happy about this problem. This is such a small problem to have. Like, it was like, if this is a problem in my life, such a small, insignificant thing, then that means my life is pretty good. Not to brag, but it feels like, you know, if you have such small problems, like you can't fit into a restaurant booth, or you're tired from a long night out with friends, you should feel grateful to have that as a problem, you know? Because that means something is going right. All right, I got a lot out of that just short clip. We're not going to go into their list of creators. You can seek it out if you want. I'm certain you can. Thank you, Samira. If you don't, I think Samira is a Harvard graduate who's obsessed with clothes and getting plus size clothes into stores. So let's see what this person is thanking Samira for. I think that's Samira. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. Terrible with names. I only know like the really obnoxious radical people's names that I see pop up on content a lot, so.
Thank you, Samira. I want to start this video off by saying that because you're not getting enough recognition for what you're doing. And for those who think that she's being too sensitive, try being a fat person. It's not easy.
So, I'm going to agree. It is not easy being fat. One, it's harder to find clothes because... One, it's harder to find clothes that fit you in general because you're bigger. And as you get bigger into those plus sizes, the consistency of body shape between fat person to fat person gets wildly out of whack. Like, you could be really big in the arms and in the legs, but relatively normal in the torso. So the shirt, a shirt that would fit your arms won't fit your torso. Or you could have a really big torso and really smaller arms. Or you have a big bust and a small belly, or a big belly and a small bust. Like, your body proportions at those bigger sizes gets wildly out of whack. It is next to impossible to find, like, make clothes that'll fit all plus size people in a flattering way. So one, finding clothes that fit you in general is hard because one, they cost more to make because more fabric. Fun fact, they can't just scale up the pattern size like with plus sizes. When it comes to like plus sizes, they can't just take the straight size patterns and scale them up. They have to come up with all new unique patterns. And in a factory setting, that means like different dies to cut it, different machine programming. Like, there's all sorts of stuff. Like, you have to basically create a whole new alternate version of your manufacturing process for this clothes. So that's a lot of cost. More material, and a lot of plus size clothing, they have to make sure the fabric is 2-ply because it's so big it'll just tear if it's just not 2-ply, and the stitching has to be more robust. So all that's going to add to the cost and make it less profitable to produce. And two, if you have it in stores, face it, if you're 400 or 500 pounds, you're probably not going to want to get up, go to the store, walk around and try on clothes. Because it's going to be exhausting. You're going to have all that weight bearing down on your joints. You're going to be fatigued very easily. You're going to, there's an emotional part to it. You're going to you're going to feel like you're a spectacle because you're out in public and you're enormous. So, it's just all this stuff that going in-store shopping is going to be. It's going to be such a drag. So, you're going to order online. So, everything about in-store clothes, plus size clothes, after a certain point, it's literally not worth it's not going to make the company's money, so they don't do it. So there's that, and that's just one struggle of being overweight. There's also, you have to deal with the doctors. One, it's harder to diagnose a fat person simply because there's more tissue. Could your knee pain be because of an underlying genetic health condition or just from the weight of being obese? Or it's harder to scan for certain diseases because you have so much extra fat and there's so many extra comorbidities that come with fatness that it's going to be hard to get diagnosed. And oftentimes doctors will pick up the easiest thing, and usually it's try losing weight. We'll see what that does. And if it doesn't fix your problem, it's probably something else, because statistically so you have to deal with that too. There's so much. And you have to deal with the weight bearing down your joints. You're going to be fatigued. You're not going to sleep as easily. Your hunger cues are going to be all out of whack from overeating to that point. So yeah, it is hard being fat. I was obese, but I was only like 50 pounds obese, not 300 pounds obese. So it's like I just that 40 pounds difference from then to now is a huge difference. I can't even imagine being that heavy. So yeah, being heavy is hard. Let's continue and see what she has to thank Samira for.
You have big time celebs making fun of you for it, and then their fans, and then every other fat phobe. It's not easy, and I appreciate the activism that she's doing, letting brands know to include us, because that's what she is. She is a fat activist.
Okay.
I also hate this rhetoric of being too sensitive. Why?
So one, don't make fun of people for their appearance. General rule of thumb, if they can't fix it in 5 minutes, don't mention it. Unless they're like a super close friend or family member and it's something concerning, then mention it. Nuance with everything, of course. But of course it's about the clothes. As I said before, it is just not profitable for a lot of brands to carry these super big sizes because it takes so much resources to design, produce, and ship them. Selling them in stores is going to cost them way more money than they'll ever make off of it. And it's just not economically feasible. So if you're that big where most brands don't carry your size in store, that's a wake-up call. And if you're so big they don't even carry your size in the online store to ship, seriously, you need to stop and reevaluate. And unfortunately, I don't think that's fat phobia. I think that's just consequences. And I understand not everybody is in that position. Once you get to those sizes where it's next to impossible to find clothes that fit, there's a lot more than just overeating and not paying attention that goes into it. You don't just casually overeat to be 500-600 pounds. And it takes years of way overdoing it every single day. There's usually ED behavior with it. There's mental aspects. So there's that, I understand. And I know this woman and Samira aren't quite to that size. They could probably, if they go to a plus size store, buy clothes there. And they could definitely find their stuff online. And I get it. So not everyone likes online shopping. I personally buy all my clothes online because it is just, I'm very particular about my clothes or what the material is. This is a fleece long sleeve. I wore it under my work sweatshirt because it gets freezing in the building I work in, and it's good for running. So it's I like I either buy something for the material or my tank tops and stuff. I need them to be cut a certain way. So it's so hard to find them in store, and it's cheaper to just order them online, get the exact style, cut, and size I want, and have them shipped back. And once you, if you shop a certain brand or a certain style of clothes enough, you get to learn what size fits you. Personally, I am relearning what size fits me because I lost a lot of weight. So I'm smaller now. I order a large and it's hanging off me. I'm like, right. Okay. But yeah, it sucks if you want to do in-store shopping, and a lot of these plus-size brands are going to online only because these people are going into stores and buying the clothes. They just order them online because it's easier. Why spend all of the time and energy going to the mall to see if they could potentially have something you like that fits when you can just order it online? And it's cheaper for the stores if they go to online only, because they don't have to pay rent for a storefront. They don't have to pay storage for the clothes. You know, they just have to pay for a warehouse, and then when you order it, they ship it, kind of thing. So it sucks, and a lot of in-store shopping is dying. It's not, and trust me, it's not just plus-size people. It's everywhere. In-store shopping is dying slowly. All right, I talked a lot about this one. We'll move on to the next. You deserve to take up space. Okay.
Big belly? No problem. First, find a comfortable seated position. Feet together, knees apart is my favorite in Baddha Konasana. Second, we can bring the belly between the legs, creating more space through the hip joint. Third, we can sit on a bolster. This creates more space, so if we like, we can cross our legs. I prefer Baddha Konasana myself, so sometimes I'll bring blocks beneath the knees to help support the legs, especially if I'm feeling pulling in the inner line of the leg.
So it's kind of concerning that she needs blocks and assistance and like elevation to sit cross-legged. I'm sitting very cross-legged right now. My thighs are sitting next to each other. My legs are on top of each other. Not an ergonomic position to sit in, but I'm just sitting in a chair. I don't have the flesh in the way. I don't have to move my belly to get more mobility. If you have to move rolls around to sit properly, there is an issue, like a severe issue. And, do what you need to do to sit comfortably. Do what you need to do to stretch. But yeah, if you have to move rolls around or finagle it with tools to get into a certain position, consider weight loss, because that's going to cause some joint problems. If you have to, it's going to cause some, your body's pulling weird, you're going to get joint problems. Oh, J-Bay. I wonder what this is. Oh, there's a couple of J-Bay. Let's see this one.
Come with me to establish care with a new provider in my hometown, Kennewick, Washington. If you're plus size, seeing a new provider can come with a lot of anxiety and worry. As you can see, I was anxious. There are a few things I do to prepare for seeing a new...
Is it just me, or I get anxious whenever I see a new doctor too? Because, there's a lot of bedside manners that go into doctors, and I can only imagine it's worse if you are her size. So yeah, understandable. Especially if you don't know the doctor's policies and stuff, and if you're plus size and you're looking for specific care, I can see it being stressful. But, I'm getting the feeling that she doctor shopped here.
Provider as a plus size individual. First, I make a list of my health concerns and goals for the appointment so I can keep the conversation on track. I put these in my notes app on my...
Okay, so having a list, if you are anxious and have memory issues, that's actually pretty good advice. I might take that if I have to go to the doctor for a specific reason. But if you have a list of concerns when you go to the doctor and you have terrible memory or anxiety or anything like that, bringing a physical list, either in your phone or on a slip of paper, that I can see being very useful, especially if you are a forgetful, anxious person like me. What difference between me and J-Bay is J-Bay probably has a laundry list of medical issues and pains and whatnot that she wants to address. When I go to the doctor, I just show up, we do the basic checkup, and they go, "Are you concerned about anything?" No. Or I'll mention sometimes my joints pop when I work out, and they'll be like, "Does it hurt?" I'm like, "No." They'll be like, "Then it's fine." And then that's it. That's the whole workout. Or that's the whole doctor's visit. Or the last time I went, they're like, "You need your tetanus shot." So I got my tetanus shot. And then they're like, "We could do blood work, but that would be your blood work for the next 10 years. I'm like, "I don't really feel like doing blood work." And they're like, "Then you don't need to do blood work." And we were done. They had no concerns, which was honestly kind of surprising considering I was 165 pounds then and classified as obese. They said nothing about my weight, but I probably wasn't in a state where they're like, this person's going to die if we don't intervene. So, yeah, but, you know, I understand that people go through it at the doctors. They've heard it 1,000 times.
My phone. At the start of the visit, I set boundaries by saying something like, I have certain issues I'd like to focus on, and I'd like to not discuss weight or weight loss.
So, if your doctor is concerned about your weight, you should be too. Because doctors, their job is to get you healthy and keep you in as good a shape as possible for as long as possible. And if your doctor says, hey, your weight is a concern, then you should listen and say your weight is a concern. And say your knee hurts a lot. When you walk, when you stand up, it hurts a lot. And you weigh, say, 250, 300 pounds. Your doctor's going to look at you and say, hey, this could be a bunch of different problems, but most likely it's going to be because you have extra weight bearing down on that knee joint, causing pain. We recommend you lose weight, and then we'll see what happens with the pain after. Because statistically speaking, that's going to be the easiest, least invasive way to try to address the pain. Doctors, I think doctors shouldn't go straight to medication. Doctors shouldn't go straight to surgery. They should see if there's any lifestyle-driven, like, treatments for the illness. Like, for example, if I go into the doctor complaining about, like, soreness in the muscles, and I tell them I work out 3 hours a day every day, they're going to be like, cut back on your exercise, you idiot. You're working out too hard. And if I don't listen and the pain persists and I start demanding painkillers, they're going to kick me out of their office. So I don't see why, being brutally honest, why would that be okay for me? Like, you know, like, why? That's it. That's basically the situation that a lot of these fat activists, they don't want to address their weight, which is causing a lot of health issues. At the very least, it's making their conditions worse. And at the very most, it's causing the conditions themselves.
If the topic comes up, I redirect by asking for weight-neutral treatments or evidence-based solutions for my symptoms.
You know, the biggest evidence-based solution is gravity in this case. Or just science. Like, a lot of doctors are trained to visually establish, doctors are meant, first step in diagnosing is visual symptoms. If the whites of your eyes are turning yellow, or that might be a sign of organ failure. If you are really pale, they try to address you visibly. They try to diagnose you visibly. If your arm is bent at a weird angle, they're gonna go, okay, yeah, you've got a broken arm, or you have the first thing is, what can we see that is visibly wrong with you, and how can we correct that and diagnose based on that? And if they can't find anything, or the visual check doesn't bring anything out, they're gonna start doing more tests. And the reason they do that is some tests are invasive, they're expensive, they're a drain on the system, and sometimes the test won't diagnose it. Like, J-Bay could have joint problems, joint pain and all that stuff, and they could send her to every specialist and all this other stuff, and either A, they couldn't come up with a concrete answer because of her weight, or B, the only answer they could come up with is it's caused because of her weight. So unfortunately, weight-based treatment options is evidence-based treatment options. And this goes to the other hand. Say somebody comes into the doctor and saying, I'm extremely fatigued. I'm tired all the time. I don't have the energy. I'm cold. I have to wear a coat in the heat. I don't understand what's going on. And the doctor looks at you and the doctor takes a look at you, and you're just skin and bones. You're severely underweight. They're going to tell you, go eat more food, gain some weight, and come back to me and see if that solves your problem. And honestly, if fat activists saw that situation, they'd be like, yeah, no, she's too thin, it's unhealthy. But the opposite end of the spectrum, no, they can't acknowledge weight at all. It's kind of hypocritical and kind of idiotic. You have to acknowledge the whole spectrum and understand that medicine, weight-based medicine, is evidence-based medicine. Doctors went through so much school to get where they are today. Your Google searching is nothing compared to that.
In my notes app, I will also write affirmations like my body deserves respect no matter its size to remind myself I'm in control of the appointment. Sometimes I'll bring a trusted friend for support or take notes to stay focused. I'm going to address in another video what I do if I feel disrespected or dismissed. It's taken me a long time to learn to advocate for myself, and now I want to share with you what I've learned. Honestly, to my surprise, this doctor's appointment was one of the best I've ever had in my entire life. I felt so seen, heard, and understood. Honestly, advocating for yourself is where it's at. Come with me.
So, if you need positive affirmations to go to a doctor's appointment, like a general checkup appointment, I recommend getting some kind of therapist or mental health professional, because you shouldn't. It's a doctor's appointment. They're gonna look up your nose. They're gonna look in your ears. They're gonna check your tongue. They're gonna like take your blood pressure. They're gonna look at you visually and ask if there's. And then if they don't see anything immediately of concern doing that, they're gonna ask you, do you have any concerns? And then they're gonna send you on your way. The problem is with most fat people, and the doctor's going to see someone J-base size and say, yeah, you need to lose weight. You're going to have all these health problems if you don't. And they take that as a personal attack. Just because you're fat, one, doesn't mean you're worthy of disrespect. But two, doesn't mean the doctor's necessarily disrespecting you for bringing it up. All right. So I have been rambling for like 30 minutes about these TikToks. And I think I'm good for now. The whole doctors thing and the clothes, it's like these people struggle with confrontation. They struggle with conflict. They struggle with even the smallest problems. Like, they're so used to things being handed to them that any, like, slight inconvenience or slight consequences to their actions feels like discrimination, like a hate crime, when in reality it's the consequences of their actions and lifestyle, not anyone else's doing. You know, if I run an ultra marathon and then I go to a restaurant and they seat me on the second floor and have to go up a flight of stairs and it hurts and it's really hard to get up those stairs, that's not discrimination against ultra runners. That's me having to suffer the consequences of picking that restaurant after running an ultra marathon. And I ran my ultra marathon, and me and my friend went to the Cheesecake Factory because I wanted calories. Well, it happened to be in a downtown city area, so you had to park at a parking garage, walk down the parking garage, and then walk 3 blocks to the Cheesecake Factory after my ultra marathon. It hurt. It sucked. But I wanted that cheesecake, and I'm like, you know what? This is the consequences of my own actions. My friend's just laughing as I'm hobbling slowly because I did it to myself, and that wasn't discrimination. That was just me being an idiot. So, honestly, I think these people need a little more pressing problems than just not finding their clothes in the store or the doctor saying you need to lose weight. Because there are a lot more problems to deal with than just that. And honestly, if those are the problems you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you should be grateful, because there are people who don't know how they're going to pay rent. There are people who don't know if they can safely leave their house. So you not being able to find a cute shirt in your size is a petty problem. And honestly, I think these people need a little perspective. So with all that rambling and all that nonsense being said, what do you think? I personally think a lot of these activists are a little cushioned and soft. Like, they don't face many problems, or like, you know, it feels like they're very sheltered in their little echo chamber. So let me know what you think, and if you liked this video, comment what you liked or what you think I could do to improve, and consider liking. Or if you really like this content, I will, at the end card of this video and in the description, link a little playlist with all my reactions, so you can get a taste of more page opinions. And if you like what you see, consider subscribing. I really am enjoying making these videos and would love the feedback. So I'll leave it here. And no matter what time of day it is or who you are or what you're doing, hopefully you have a good one.